Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and before we get into today's big story, make sure you hit that subscribe button and share this video so we can all stay connected to the realities shaping Zimbabwe. Today we're diving into a dramatic development that has shaken Harare and sent shockwaves through political and social circles. President Emmerson Mnangagwa, during his latest visit, was visibly miffed and deeply unsettled by the deplorable state of Mbare, one of the oldest and most iconic townships in Zimbabwe. What was meant to be a routine inspection has turned into a headline-making moment that exposes the true contradictions of power, leadership, and the day-to-day lives of ordinary citizens. Mbare is not just a place, it is history, culture, politics, and survival all wrapped in one. It is the beating heart of Harare, where markets thrive, buses load and unload, music blasts from every corner, and generations of Zimbabweans have called home. But it is also a place that has long suffered neglect, corruption, and collapse. Crumbling infrastructure, broken sewage systems, uncollected refuse, congested living spaces, and rampant informal trading have turned what was once a proud township into a symbol of state failure. So when Mnangagwa walked through its streets and witnessed the conditions firsthand, the reaction on his face said it all: shock, frustration, and perhaps even embarrassment. Reports suggest that the president was not just angered by the decay but also disappointed by the failure of local authorities and his own government structures to address such glaring problems. Mbare has for years been a hotbed of political influence. It is a place where ZANU-PF has courted support, where opposition movements have grown, and where the struggle for political dominance has often been played out. Yet despite its centrality, the township has been allowed to deteriorate into an almost unlivable state. For Mnangagwa, who has been trying to project a narrative of a new dispensation and a Zimbabwe open for business, this reality undercuts his message in a devastating way. Imagine leading a country, standing before the world at forums like the UN, promising growth, investment, and modernization, yet your own capital city's most famous township lies in ruins. That contradiction is what made this visit so dramatic. The president reportedly fumed at local officials, demanding answers as to why garbage had piled up, why sewage was flowing in open streets, and why citizens were forced to live in such indignity. Sources say he even warned that this level of neglect was not just a service delivery failure but a political liability that could cost the ruling party dearly in the next elections. Residents of Mbare, however, are not surprised. For them, this has been daily life for years. They speak of broken promises, of politicians who sweep in during campaign seasons, handing out t-shirts and slogans, only to vanish as soon as the votes are counted. They live with overflowing bins, power cuts, water shortages, and crime, all while being told that Zimbabwe is on a path of development. Some of them even laughed at the idea that Mnangagwa was shocked, saying the leadership has always known the situation but simply never cared enough to change it. Others, however, were hopeful that maybe this time, the president's anger might spark real action. But let's be clear, fixing Mbare is not a simple task. This is not about sweeping the streets and painting a few walls. It requires a massive investment in housing, sanitation, infrastructure, and economic planning. The informal economy in Mbare, from Mupadzanamo flea market to Sioso, is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it provides livelihoods for thousands. On the other, it fuels chaos, congestion, and lawlessness when not properly managed. Any attempt to fix Mbare without addressing the economic realities of its people would be doomed to fail. For Mnangagwa, this moment could either become an opportunity or a nightmare. If he takes decisive steps, mobilizing resources, enforcing accountability, and showing visible improvements, he could win political points and restore faith among many disillusioned citizens. But if his anger fades into yet another empty directive, this episode could haunt him. The people of Mbare have long memories, and Zimbabweans in general are growing tired of leadership that only reacts when embarrassed or exposed, rather than proactively solving problems. This incident also raises bigger questions about governance in Zimbabwe. Why should the president himself be the one to discover such obvious failures? Where are the ministers, the mayors, the councillors, the urban planners? Why is there no system in place that regularly addresses these issues before they escalate into national scandals? It reflects a deeper rot in governance where accountability has collapsed, where political rivalries between ruling party-controlled central government and opposition-led councils leave ordinary people suffering in the crossfire. Some analysts argue that Mnangagwa's anger is genuine but also politically strategic. By publicly expressing frustration, he distances himself from the failures of local government and tries to position himself as the man who cares, the leader who sees and understands the struggles of the poor. But the people are not naive. They know that real leadership is not about being shocked in 2025 by problems that have existed for decades. Real leadership is about rolling up sleeves, implementing solutions, and standing by them until change is visible. Still, the fact that Mbare has once again captured national headlines shows just how symbolic this township is to the identity of Zimbabwe. It is a place of pride and pain, of music and struggle, of resilience and despair. If Mbare can be fixed, if its streets can be cleaned, its infrastructure rebuilt, and its residents given dignity, it could stand as a metaphor for the renewal of Zimbabwe itself. But if it continues to crumble, it will remain a constant reminder of broken promises and failed governance. As the dust settles on Mnangagwa's visit, all eyes are now on what happens next. Will trucks of garbage collectors suddenly flood the township? Will roads be patched up and sewers unblocked? Will funds be released for housing projects? Or will this be just another photo opportunity, another story in the headlines, fading into silence while life in Mbare goes back to the same old suffering? The people are waiting, watching, and whispering among themselves. What is certain is that Mnangagwa has been forced to look directly at the raw reality of his capital city, stripped of polish, stripped of political speeches, and stripped of excuses. And that image of a president miffed, frustrated, and exposed by the very conditions his people live in every day might just linger longer than he expected.